Hello, this is Stacy Ingstead, and this is my final project for our nutrition counseling class. Today, I will be visiting with my client Olivia, and so we are going to start that conversation now. Hello and welcome. I am Stacy, the nutritionist that'll be working with you today. Do you prefer to be called Ms. Ingstead or Olivia?
Olivia.
Well, we know each other pretty well, but as I said, my name is Stacy and I am a future integrative nutritionist. I love meeting new people and I love helping people on their health journey. So I'm really happy to have you here with me today.
Thank you.
Yeah, just before we start, are you comfortable where you're at? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. How is your weather where you're at today?
It's not raining for the first time in quite some time, so that's good. So I'll get to mow the lawn today.
Oh, that sounds fun. Yeah, we've got a little wind here and a little sun, but otherwise, kind of the same. No rain and not as crazy as the weather has been the last few days.
Yeah, no kidding.
So maybe, Olivia, you can tell me a little bit about what brought you here today to talk about nutrition and wellness.
Well, I the main reason is I'm running a full marathon in November, so I'm really interested in dialing in my diet to kind of support my energy throughout that. I just want to make sure that my body's getting everything it needs. Because obviously I'm going to be asking a lot of it.
Yeah, well, that's a great goal. Congratulations on taking on a marathon. This is your first marathon?
Yep.
And have you been running for a long time?
Not really. I've run a couple half marathons over the past year, and when I was younger, I ran 5Ks. But pretty much just recently in the last year or so is when I started getting into longer distance running and yeah, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm a couple weeks into the training plan already, and I know it's only going to ramp up. So
Excellent. That's really neat. Um, when you did your half marathons, did you feel like maybe this was an area where you could use a little help, or was that kind of one of the things that motivated you to check into this?
yeah, I think during the half marathons, I definitely could have been supporting my nutrition better throughout the training plan, but also especially like during the race. I think there's definitely I don't even know. It just like I know that I could feel better. So I just want to do everything that I can to feel the best that I can while training.
That's a great goal. And very it's a very proactive way of thinking, being kind to your body while you're asking it to do a lot. So I commend you for that. That's really neat. Um, Also, we talked in some of the different information that you given to me. You had talked about a desire to optimize your gut health. Um, and you said you'd noticed a few different things with maybe some inflammation and stuff that you were hoping that diet could help with as well.
Yeah, I think overall just feeling better. I think it's easy to notice those things when you're working out and running and kind of the recovery of your body. So just kind of eliminating as much inflammation as I can. And yeah, it's definitely one of my goals.
Awesome. So today we're kind of doing, this is our initial just kind of chat. So we'll talk through um a few different things. One thing that I think might be kind of fun and also helpful for you as we work through some different goals would be to use a tool like a food journal and maybe a food journal and an activity journal to kind of compare and see how your energy, how you feel during your workout when you're fueled a certain way. So I'll show you those. And then we can talk about um what you're thinking as far as how often you would like to get together. And then also the best ways for me to contact you. So I will get that information from your contact information from you at the end. Um, or I have your contact information, but you can let me know which way would be the best. And then maybe when we wrap up here, we can talk about how often you would like to touch base. How does that sound?
That all sounds great.
Awesome. Um, I noticed when we were looking at your different your wellness vision and a couple of things like that, that most of your goals did not seem to be focused on weight. Um, and so we'd always have the option to focus on goals that are weight related or not weight related. And so I'd like to just get how do you feel about goals that are one way or the other?
I specifically, I guess I'm not really focused on weight, more so just how my body feels. And I think overall I'm a pretty good goal setter, or not even goal setter, but when I have a goal, I can accomplish it. So, but I don't necessarily think that we need to have any weight related goals.
Okay. So we will incorporate goals that are not weight related into your plan. That'll be our plan for today. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so for this session, we're going to kind of go through the assessment process where I'm just basically going to ask you some questions and we're going to look at the assessment you've already done and just kind of take a look at where you're at. You'll have plenty of opportunities to ask me questions if you have any. And then we're gonna just take a look at, do a little assessment based that looks at how ready you are to take this challenge on. And then we're gonna set a goal based on that readiness. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so um, now that we've just kind of gotten some of that groundwork out of the way, we can discuss your needs in more detail. So we both have in front of us your well-being for coaching inventory that you completed, um, which you had told me last week when we visited that you found it very interesting. Um, in the potential areas for improvement, 24% of your answers were 4 to 6. Um, and so when we went through that, um, the biggest area that you had talked about was the eating several servings of fruits and vegetables every day. Um, so we had talked about taking a look at that one and really making it more convenient for you. Um, there was also a couple on there that well, one especially that I found interesting because you gave yourself a 3 in the I seek medical care promptly for health issues, and yet here you are meeting with me. Um, how does that feel for you to be meeting with a health professional when you obviously don't feel like that's one of your strengths?
Well, I think that just because of how busy my life is, I don't make it as a priority, but I think like I said before, nutrition is just really important, especially with this time in my life. And so, yeah, it feels good to be making that step and making it a priority.
I like that answer. Um, so your otherwise, like a lot of your wellness statements on that inventory were, really good. I mean, even the ones where there were potentials areas for improvement, because we've talked about energy, you said you feel, excuse me, energetic most days. What does a normal day for you look like?
Well, right now I'm taking some college classes and I don't work every day, but I work a decent amount. And typically I run and lift throughout the day. So I'm sorry, what was the question?
Your typical day. And I should have been a little bit more specific. Um, so a typical day, you said you're taking some classes, you go to work. What is your energy like on a typical day?
Got it. I would say typically it's in the morning is when I mostly struggle with, it's always a battle in my brain of getting myself up to make sure I can get my run done before I start my day, which then I always feel better and more energized. But I would say mostly it just has to do with sleep. If I don't get enough sleep, then I don't have enough energy. But most days I'm fairly energetic.
Right. And you did comment also on your wellness vision about, when you prioritize sleep, everything else seems to be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you find that sleep also impacts your food choices?
Um, I I think so. I just think when you don't have as much energy, or if you're setting yourself back in your scheduled time throughout the day, then it can almost bring you to a spot where you're making bad decisions about food.
Right. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I can relate to that statement myself. The better sleep I have, the better choices I make about most things. Uh, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so how about as far as um, your nutrition in a typical day? What does a typical food day look like for you?
Typically I would say that I eat a normal breakfast and supper. I'm not the best at eating, or I mean, I'm good at eating lunch and supper, not the best at eating breakfast. But
Okay.
for the most part, I eat a very healthy diet unless it's those days where I'm not making the best decisions.
So what would a normal lunch look like for you?
Maybe like a tuna sandwich or a salad of some sort. Something not too big and typically not full of carbs.
Okay, and how about dinner then?
I would say dinner, I definitely eat more. I don't really like to eat a ton of carbs over lunch just because I feel like it makes me lethargic. But I would say typically for dinner, I eat some sort of rice or potato, meat, veggies, that sort of thing.
Okay. Good to know. And do you not eat breakfast because of time or because you don't enjoy breakfast type foods, or is there something you can put your finger on there?
Yeah, I feel like maybe it has to do with time, but also just I don't usually feel hungry in the mornings.
Okay. Um, so let's just talk a little bit about motivation. I have a just a little scale here to kind of assess where you're at as far as being ready to make some different changes. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. Just answer with what feels right. Um, so what does your current intake of fruits and vegetables look like? would you say you eat 0 to 2 total fruits and vegetables a day, 2 to 4, or 5 to 8? Or if if you have kind of a more specific, you can answer more specific too. I'm just giving you some ranges.
I would say 2 to 4. It's
Okay.
probably pretty accurate.
Closer to 2, closer to 4, or does it vary day to day?
I would say it varies.
Okay. So in the past year, have you tried increasing your total intake of fruits and vegetables?
I feel like I have. It's just not something that I've been making very convenient on myself.
Okay. And have so you've been successful with, adding some extra stuff in here and there?
Yeah,
And do you like fruits and vegetables?
I do.
Okay. Well, that's always good if you're trying to increase something that you actually like eating it. Um, okay, good to know. And so we talked about how your plan, as part of your plan, you really are interested in increasing your intakes of fruits and vegetables. And what you had told me in when we were doing some assessment stuff is that they have a lot of good nutrients and stuff for you. So you're motivated by health, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. And so how confident are you that you can achieve a goal to get those fruits and vegetables up?
I am fairly confident that when I set a goal and how I'm going to achieve it, that I will achieve it for sure.
Awesome. So I did ask you about potential areas where you might like to learn more that you think would maybe help you with this goal. And you had mentioned maybe different ways to prepare or cook vegetables, or different ways more creative ways to um, add fruit into your diet. So I do have a couple of brochures from NDSU Extension that talk about some of those things, but I thought maybe for our next meeting we could visit more in depth about um, some more preparation styles of fruits and vegetables. And if there's something specific you think of that you're interested in, like zucchini boats or whatever, you can certainly let me know and I can access information on finding specific things. Or if you have access to a garden or a farmer's market and there's something specifically in season, I'd be happy to help you find some different tools for that as well.
Okay, that sounds great.
Awesome. So, I think we've talked, we've woven in here some of the benefits. We know, like you mentioned several times, the benefits to your athletic endeavors and your healthy gut, anti-inflammatory things, with this diet. Um, so what do you see as any obstacles that may, get in your way with making these changes, or do you see any?
I think definitely an obstacle is just being in college, definitely the atmosphere sometimes. The people that, you're surrounding yourself with, or whether you're going out on the weekends or whatever. I think sometimes that's a little hard when you're doing things that are different than a lot of your classmates are doing. It's easy to make decisions like going out for pizza or, whatever it may be. I think that is definitely the biggest obstacle that I see.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and do you have any ideas for things that maybe you could change to make that easier?
Um, I don't really know. I think limiting like those times where I'm in the position to make a decision like that definitely would help.
Okay.
or just trying to make a healthier choice when I am in that position.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good point. So if you were to imagine that you make all these changes that you're hoping to make, your gut health, your inflammatory status is improved, what do you notice is different? How do you feel different?
I think the biggest thing is the recovery from like my workouts. I think that will feel a lot different. Um, I can recover faster. Maybe it doesn't, I don't have as many days where my legs really hurt or um, I'm just saying that because I'm running a lot, but or if my body just hurts when I work out, if I make poor decisions, I think if I can limit those and um, make these changes for the future, that's the biggest thing that I'll notice will change.
Yeah, I get that. And so what would you like your diet to look like in the future? What do you see as the most supportive diet for this?
I think just giving my body the calories that it needs for um, my long runs and the level of working out that I'll be doing, but also in taking them in a way that, I'm not eating unhealthy foods. I'm eating foods that are going to support me and fuel me.
Right. So we had you and I had talked about last week when we were going through the different assessment tools, we had talked about some SMART goals that we were going to work on. And now I have to find them. They're here somewhere in all my papers. Um, so your major goal that we had talked about was to increase fruit and vegetable intake to improve your overall health. So to go about doing that, um, you tell me how many servings of fruit or vegetables per day would you like to start at? If you're already eating somewhere between two and four, does it seem reasonable for you to set a starting goal of making sure you get three every day?
Yeah, I think at least three would be a good goal to start at.
Okay. And so some of the different, like you talked about convenience and kind of prep and just having things ready so that that's your fallback. Um, and so as far as our action plan, you're going to keep convenient fruits and veggie choices. Some of the things you had mentioned that you like were apple slices, berries, baby carrots, and just make sure we have those, you have those on hand, so that you can have them as snacks and adding to meals.
Yep.
And then, so then this should support your long-term goal of making sure that your body has the nutrients it needs to support that marathon training. Um, and so we're going to try that daily habit for 2 weeks. And then we're going to touch base either in person or by phone. We can discuss which of those works best for you. And
All
then
right, that sounds great.
yeah, and the other goal we talked about, which supports the first one, was has to do with meal prepping. And you talked about Sunday afternoons are always a good time for you. You kind of like to start the week fresh. And you talked about maybe doing some meal prep and preparing individual servings of fruits and vegetables so that you can just grab them and go, especially for snacks at work or when you have class or something like that.
Yeah, I think Sunday is definitely the best day for that. And I always like a good reset on a Sunday. So prepping food goes right with that.
And once per week, you think still is like a good a date time for you, just setting aside once a week?
Yeah.
Okay, and I can see that um task should take about 30 minutes. Um, that fits in no problem.
Yes.
All right. And this goal is going to encourage the fruit and vegetable intake. So, that fits right in there, and you're going to complete it every Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
That is excellent. We also worked on your wellness vision last week, and you came up with this. And you said, I consistently eat a healthy diet rich in fruits and vegetables so that my digestive system functions optimally, absorbs the maximum amount of nutrition from my diet, and helps support my athletic goals, which I thought was a really excellent goal. Do you see that vision still fit with everything we're doing here?
Yes.
All right. Anything missing or any other changes you'd like to make?
I don't think so.
Okay. Um, so let's just we just reviewed your goals. In summary here, I think what you're doing is amazing, and I think that the fact that you want to support this athletic goal with good nutrition is just so proactive and so farsighted, and I think it's really going to benefit you in the long run. Um, and
No pun intended.
what's that?
I said no pun intended.
No pun
The long
intended.
run.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. I didn't even mean to do that, but yes. And I mean, these committing to diet changes, especially when you're in a big training plan, is not easy. So I really commend you um, for doing that. I think it's amazing. Um, so do you have any other questions or anything else for me? Anything else I can help you with?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, let's move forward with these goals. Would you like to meet over Zoom again in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think that'll work best.
And the best way to set that appointment up would be email, phone.
Yeah, you can just email it to me.
All right. Well, I want you to know that I'm here to support you, and I'm really looking forward to working with you towards your goals. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye bye.